Well, welcome back, baseball fans, to the 1971-74 Carryover League off-season look. We are in the 1972 box for the third look. We've looked at the American League, and now we're going to, tonight, look at the National League East and the National League North. Look at 8 teams. We'll take a look at who they put on waivers and also the 4 keepers. And if there's something special, I'll make a note on my spreadsheet, so it really helps the drafting process to get this information stored early on in the process. So we're going to start with the Atlanta Braves in 72. They put Pat Jarvis on waivers. He's a relief starter now, and he's just okay as a long reliever. 4.09 ERA in 99 innings. Again, he's on waivers, and he's just a guy. He's okay. He's not terrible. He might get a shot in the league, and the Braves might actually take him. They're one of 32 teams with a crack. So the 4 waiver guys are Rico Carty, Mo Drabowski, Davey Johnson, and Mike McQueen. Here's Rico Carty, who really, after 69 and 70, had pretty ordinary run with some injuries mixed in. I don't think he has a 71 card. He comes back with a 72 card. And it's okay. It's not as good as his previous ones, of course. It's still 277 in half a season. Injury, yeah, big injury there on a 9. Yeah, that's a lot of injury right there. Yeah. So maybe, I mean, this is sort of like the bar. So this is the card you take until you see something better, 277. So that's not bad. We could skip analysis of Davey Johnson because we're going to go right to 1973 when he hits 43 home runs. And you could see in 72 with Baltimore, he had 5 and hit 221. So you can see when the Orioles traded him, they weren't thinking that he would blossom and do what he did with the Braves in that ballpark. The third player is a lefty, Mike McQueen. And mostly, this man will be in the bullpen as a situational lefty. So regardless of which card is taken, you want the card to be getting lefties out. Not really seeing that here, but at least he doesn't give up homers to lefties. It's 4.62 ERA. I think his 71 card is better. So that'll be the analysis for Atlanta. And of all those, I think I like Carty the best, believe it or not. So that's where the Braves will start in the year of 72. Next up, we get an expansion team, the Florida Marlins. Of course, didn't exist in this time. And so they're going to struggle getting the scraps left over from other teams. Let's see. I'll find their keepers. And they're going to keep Marty Martinez, Felix Millan, Jose Pagan, and Roger Repos. There's no wavered guys listed here. Whoever they put on waivers, their only year back was 71. So we have really just 2 guys still alive or still available in 72. One of those is Felix Millan, who the Atlanta Braves traded to make room for Davey Johnson. And they didn't want Millan to end up on the Mets. He's still a Brave here. The reason you don't want this guy on the Mets is because with Bud Harrelson and Millan's defense, that would make that New York Met pitching staff even more unhittable, untouchable. So they wanted to put Millan in a place where it wouldn't hurt the Braves that much, and Florida seems to be the place. This is just 257 for Millan. He'll have a better offense than one of the other years. Jose Pagan. This is an interesting card. If you look at him in a lefty platoon, that's a lot of power and extra base hits over here. Batting average isn't that great, like 240. 252. Well, you know, infield and outfield, third and left. Well, I mean, I could see if you need a DH against lefty, you could go with Pagan with that card. Not a lot expected out of Florida during this time. Next up, the New York Mets. Going to be in that World Series window for the next several years. Had a better year. They won the World Series in 2021. 2022, they had a better regular season. Then they got stung by the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds were the team that the Reds were the team that team of destiny, you could say. So the Mets are going to put on waivers Bobby Heiss, and the other player is not available. But on waivers, oh, I think somebody will take this Bobby Heiss. You're talking about a utility player in the infield, and he's a decent hitter. It's about 267 or something. 266. B hit and runner and B bunter. Not flashy. I mean, you know, you're not expecting flashy cards from guys who are on waivers, but a guy who can help a team out. So Heiss will be picked up by somebody. The Met keepers are Wayne Garrett, Gary Gentry, Jerry Grody, and Willie Mays. We'll start with Garrett. He can play third and second. Ton of on base here. Look at the walks. And he's not that bad against lefties. 70 walks and 298 at bats. So you see a 232 average, you're thinking that's lousy, but when you factor in the walks, it's kind of a fun card. This is probably a 360 on base percentage. A 3 at third base. What I don't like is he doesn't have any power. That's not going to work on the corner. So if he had power, I'd say go with this year, but you might find him in a better year, 73 or 4. Then we have Gary Gentry. He has a very good 71 card. Here in 72, yeah, he starts to drop it a little bit. 71's much better. He goes and pitches on 3 days rest as well. So we're pretty sure we like 71 Gentry, so we can ignore this one. So that leaves Jerry Grody. This is all going to come down to the arm. We know Grody hits 270, and then this year he's down to 210. So that's a big drop, but it really depends on the throwing arm. And I don't have that information on the card. It's in the database, and I'll have to find out what it is. He's got a -3 arm. I'm almost inclined to take a 210 hitter with power both ways versus a 270 hitter with a weaker arm. So that's something the Mets will have to decide, which Grody to take. And then there's Willie Mays. 71 will be the selection there. But you know what? This isn't that bad either. And look at that. He is still a 2-2 in center field. That's unbelievable. He's got to be 40, 41 years old. I mean, just pedestrian numbers. Still, oh, he's on the Mets. Yeah, he's on the Mets there. A lot of the walks help the card. Injuries on 9. So they're probably going to nurse him into 71 and then 72. They'll take a different card every year because 71 card, he's also an ace stealer. So the Mets will take the 71 Mays, and then the next year's season they might bring him back for his final year of 72, and then we'll see about 73. But I like 71 Gentry and 71 Willie Mays. So it could very well be that Jerry Grody card is not selected because you can only take 2 guys from 1 year. Next up, the Phillies. Now they are rebuilding, or building. They got the first pick in the draft. On waivers, they have put Pat Corrales there. Just a normal, utility catcher, nothing special. He's on waivers. The Phillies have elected to keep Johnny Callison, Barry Lersch, Tim McCarver, and Tony Taylor. I think they're all 4 right here. Starting with Callison, that's a nice card. So I think he's got a bad 71. But this is in 72. Platoon player with plenty of power, great arm in right field. That's a nice little card in a platoon situation. Plus it's a lot better than 71. Look at Tony Taylor. Fine card here. He also has a fine card, I think, in 74 where it's 330 or something. A 303 hitter. So definitely this card, if not the other card. But he's going to have a very nice performance in the league coming up. You don't even want to play shortstop. You got Larry Boa. You got Denny Doyle with a nice card, hitting 270. So, yeah. Barry Lersch. This is a relief 3-7. It's pretty good stats, though. Yeah, 3.03 ERA. When you look closely, don't like that triple one double. That stinks. But overall, a nice whip for this guy, and he's a relief starter. And then we have Tim McCarver. Was he still a Philly, or was he? Oh, he's an Expo that year. And it's okay. So defense is kind of weird, listing third base first. I'm not really sure if this is going to be the McCarver. They might have a better one out there. And that's the Phillies. Let's go to the National League North. Or sometimes called the National League Central. I always forget what I name it. That's second division. Before we go to the Midwest and West. Beginning with the Cubs. This is the river teams. The Cubs, Reds, Pirates, and Cardinals. The Cubs. Let's see who they waive. They would waive Popovich. Who, yeah, he's got power over here, but otherwise nothing special. Again, 190 something, 194. Yeah, nothing special. But they're going to keep Jim Hickman, Randy Hundley, Don Kessinger, Billy Williams. This might be the Billy Williams card we want. But before we get there, let's start with Hickman. That's a good card because of the walks and the power. Defense isn't there. 267, 272 with 17 homers. This card can make it, definitely. Randy Hundley, I want to know what his arm is. The bat's not there at all. No bat. Yeah, it's pretty bad hitting. Kessinger doesn't matter because he'll give you the similar performance year in and year out. He's the kind of the flex year. If you're short players in one of the 4 years, take Don Kessinger because he's going to give you the same thing. 267, 274. You know, 1 home run, an annual home run for Kessinger, a 267 and 274 batting average, a 2 at short. Boom. So, yeah, this is a nice card. I'd take Hickman and Kessinger, but one of those guys is getting blocked because this is the card we're taking. So after the 1970 Billy Williams card is put away, we can go straight to this. How about that, folks? 1970, he hits, I think, 329 with 42 homers. And look at this. You can just replace that card with this one, and you don't lose a step whatsoever. Of course, he's a 3 now. He used to be a 2. But look at this wonderful card. Yeah, that's a first-round pick right there. Hall of Famer Billy Williams. Magnificent year. So there, and this will be 2 years of this now. This year or next year, we'll have 2 more years of outstanding Billy Williams. And that's what the Cubs need. They need some star power. They're in a tough draw in a division with the Reds and Pirates. 2 World Series caliber teams in the same division with them. Speaking of that, let's take a look at your world champion Cincinnati Reds. And look at what's available in a year they went to a World Series. Oh, the Reds have the Hall of Famer protection. They have Bench, Perez, Rose, and Bobby Tolan. Oh my goodness. It's a good thing there's 4 years to pick from. They're putting Jimmy Stewart on waivers. He helped them last year in a utility role. He's okay. That doesn't need to be picked up by him. And I think Bench, Perez, Rose, and Tolan, I think we got a lot of great performance here, and we can only keep 2 of them. And this is the first one we're going to keep. Because this gentleman is your most valuable player in 1972, Johnny Bench. 270, 40 homers, 100 walks. I don't have the arm on there yet. I'm just going to say it's -4. I don't need to look. Yeah. This is his best of the 4 years, his MVP year. This is another great year for Tony Perez, but he's not at third base. Now you've got the situation where you got Lee May and Tony Perez on your roster still. Haven't made the trade for Morgan yet. And 21 and 283 is okay. It's definitely a step down from 70 when he had 40 home runs and hit 320, or 319, or 317. Pete Rose, this is just an okay version because we know he'll hit 333 in one of the years. I like 71 and 73 better, so it's not going to be this Rose. But I think it might be this Tolan. because he's hurt in 71. Yeah, this is the Bobby Tolan you want. Yeah, you want this guy. You want Bench and Tolan. Okay? Take Rose in a different year, take Perez in a different year. Bench and Tolan. You can't take, there's no 71 Tolan that got hurt. But here, he's still a 2-2. They love the great defense and the base stealing. He hit 316 and 70. At 283 is not bad. And again, Perez is at 283 with not a reliable position. So, all right, next up, oh boy, folks, the Pirates, a team that is really disappointed. We know they have tons and tons of talent everywhere, starting and relief pitching, the outfield, the corners, DH, catcher. The only weakness is, I guess, middle infield offensively, Gene Alley and company. But Pittsburgh, my goodness. It's time for this team to produce in one of my leagues. They've really disappointed. I don't know why. They got to put Gene Alley on waivers. He's still a good shortstop. He's sort of like Gene Michael. They're both going on waivers because they got too many great players on this team. Jerry May, not so much either. So they don't really need those guys. But it's going to be Clemente, Oliver, Robertson, and Sanguillen. Okay. So here's Clemente in his final year. And we wanted the year before. We want 71. So we'll use 71, and then next year we'll go to 72. That's how we'll play that one out. This Oliver's nice. He can play center field. That's where we need him. And he's finally hitting over 300. 315? 312. This is the card you want. This Oliver. Robertson, not so much here. I think you want 71 Robertson. Yeah, he's kind of lost it there. But this Sanguillen, this is an excellent card. 298 with this template. That's because they had so many great hitters in this team. He's a one catcher. Power against righties, be hit runner. I'd go Sanguillen and Oliver. I'd go Clemente 71, Sanguillen Oliver, and we'll take a better close-up of Bob Robertson. He's going to have one other good year in this sample. Lastly tonight, the St. Louis Cardinals. Similar boat as the Chicago Cubs. It's really going to be tough in this timeline to get into the playoffs. They have a bad draw. Sometimes you just are stuck in a division that's very tough, and the Cardinals are in the toughest. But they've got some new blood on the horizon. Ted Sizemore, acquired in a trade from the Dodgers. Reggie Smith, acquired in a trade from the Red Sox. Bill Sadakis and Chuck Taylor. The waived player, Wayne Simpson, who they acquired from the Reds. He got hurt in 70 and was never quite the same. He's just a guy. Might find a spot. Let's see, we have all four of those keepers here. I don't see Sadakis and Taylor. But we do have Sizemore and Reggie Smith. Sizemore's a 3 at second. If you can get him as a 2, I prefer that. Doesn't have much power. Actually, a 1 to 10 is not bad. AB is nice. That's okay. But this is the player, Reggie Smith. You gotta, you gave up a lot to get this guy. So you want his best year of the 4. Even if it's a Boston year, you'll take a Boston year. Boston year might be better than the St. Louis year. 270 might be a little on the low side, though. If he can hit 300, get it. So I'm not sure. We might have to do some more analysis of Reggie Smith in 73 and 74. Not really pleased with that assortment of players for the Cardinals in this year. They're a little thin in 72. They might have to go outside the organization to find some talent this year. Well, we're halfway done the National League. Next week, we'll do the Mountain Division and the National League West, and that will be the end of the 1972 analysis. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll see you next time.